All right, so let's get started. Today, basics of Brainingcamp. You see our three presenters, myself, Ryan Doherty, Kara Ream. And this is the first of our summer learning series, kind of our own little summer camp. And today we're going to go through the basics of Brainingcamp. And our goal here is to make sure that if you're attending the other summer webinar series, which you can see on the left-hand side, is that you're familiar with Brainingcamp, you're ready to get started, and you won't have to spend time trying to learn the applications, but you can really pay attention to some of our great presenters that we have coming the rest of this month on Tuesdays at 11 a.m. Eastern time. So thank you, all of you, for joining. And I believe, oh, Kara, this is where
All right, I'm going to hop in here.
Turn it over to you.
Okay. Is it up? Can y'all see me?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So we are going to kind of just talk about a little bit of the basics of Brainingcamp, just how to use it, some of the tools that are available to you, just kind of give you a general idea of what's available for you all. And right now we have 17 applications or different manipulatives that you're able to use. They all work generally in the same way. So I'm going to just kind of pick one, and then you're going to be able to kind of see some of the different options available, but all of the things are kind of in the same spot. So we're going to do linking cubes. I kind of usually start off with color tiles, but at this time I'm going to change it up a little bit and do linking cubes. So just to kind of, as you can see, kind of give you an overview of just what's available on the screen once you enter the manipulative. Obviously, you have the big white space. This is your thinking space, the kids' thinking space. This is where you're going to have all the magic happen and the learning happen. On the left-hand side of your screen, you see three icons here. We call this our toolkit, and the toolkit has a couple of different bins. This is our manipulative bin, so these are where your manipulatives will be held. The text and shape bin, so here's where you're going to find text, shapes, and then you have our learning tools, instructional tools that you would be able to use. These are available for every single manipulative. So you have a 5-frame, 10-frame, array frame, number line, cover tool, number bond, number path. And these are things that you can use during your teaching and your learning every single time. So these three, this is our toolkit, and here's our different bins. To add to the screen, you can click and drag and drop. And if I put them like this, I can put them wherever I want, but if I put them closer together, they will snap into place, kind of connect with each other, as you can see there. I can also, if I've already added something to the screen, I can click to rapidly add to the screen, just like that. So it kind of intuitively knows where the last place I added something, and then we'll add from there as well. Once I click on a manipulative, we're going to get something called selection options. You can copy this. I can delete it. I can toggle the fill on and off. Some of the other ones you'll be able to toggle colors, and I can also lock it. The students and you both have the ability to unlock, just so you know that if you do lock something and you create a task, the students will have the ability to unlock it, but that hasn't been an issue, especially if you just say, please don't unlock that, right? So that's kind of how the general, tools. I can group select, and what I did there was drag my mouse over and just move it around the screen. I can move it down here or up and down, so I can move everything at one time. When I click on I'll do this first. When I click on here, I can drag out my text feature. So when I drag text out, I can start just writing right away. And as you can see at the bottom, this is where your settings will pop up. Can you spin it so it is up and down? Well, you can with the vertical. If you can see, there's two different ones here. There is some options to rotate for some other, like the 10 frame, and I can show you that. But this one, you would put the other manipulative out. So when I click on the text feature down here, you can see that this is where I can change those options. I can make it bold. I can change the color. I can change the size, the alignment, and then I can drag this out and I can say that 4 plus 6 equals 10. And that's one option. To drag the shape, you're going to see that kind of that same options pop up. You can see the selection options here. I can layer this. I can, create a bigger line here. I'm going to just make this pretty. And then I can change the color of my line. I can change the color of my fill. So if I wanted this to be something that I just moved out of the way, you can do this or that. But if I wanted it to be just something that I want them to see, I can do this. Maybe I don't like the fill on. I'd rather be able to them to see through it. So I can just kind of adjust it that way. In my learning tools, this is where we get these multiple representations, right? So we have 4 and 6, and our students can see it with linking cubes. I can break this apart easily. I can put it back together. But here is where we can show multiple representations pretty easily. So you were asking if we could rotate some options will. So be sure when you click on an object that you check out what the selection options are, because you never know what they'll be able to do until you click it. So I can here click and flip this and rotate this in the direction that I need. So now my students can see that 4 plus 6 is 10, but if I need them to see it on a 10 frame as well, I can copy this. And as you see, when I get a little bit closer to this box, those outlines pop up. That means it's going to drop in very nicely. I can see that 4 and 6 right here, that 5 is filled in, that benchmark that we need to understand is ready to go. So and again, I'm going to drag this up. So I'm going to group select and move it up a little bit. Guys, here's one of my new favorite tools, number paths. Yay. So K through 2, you're technically, or K through 1, you're technically really supposed to be using number paths and not number lines, because there is a difference. And if you want to check out one of the webinars that I've done recently on number paths and number lines. So we now have this incredible number path feature ready to go for you. Again, when you click on it, be sure that you see the benchmarks of 5s and 10s can be 5s can be highlighted. If I drag this, you can see that I can make it larger. I can make it smaller. I can change my start value. So if I would like to start at 41, because I'm trying to show something or maybe relate it to the hundreds chart in some way, I can do that as well. So I'm going to come back here, click 1, and go back 1 through 10. It does not go to 0, but you can change this number path option here by clicking 0, and then it will change it. So technically the number path doesn't have a 0, because we don't count this. So when you're counting, you drag from the left to the right of the box, and that would equal 1. So there is not a 0 there, but if you are using it for another purpose, you do have the ability to change that. So again, I've dragged out my 10 frame and I've dragged out my number path. So I want to show this again. Same thing, I want to show it on my number path. I can drag these down here and just simply drop it. And now, as you can see, I can see those numbers pretty clearly. When you click on the number path, you are able to turn the numbers on or off. So just know that you can, if you do want to say, I want, fill in this number, put this number in, you're able to do something like that. And this one, I actually clicked back on the number path so you can see I can actually layer this. So if I don't want my numbers to show for whatever reason, maybe I want it to pop up a little later, I can layer this as well. So that's the number path. Same thing with our number line. I'm going to move it right here just for a second so that you can see that you can rotate this into a vertical number line. And then I can go back and rotate it back. So just like the number path, you can start it at 0. You just say, click here, press start value, and I can click that as well. I can start it at 21 and the numbers will adjust. I can drag this, make them bigger or larger, smaller, however I need them to. I can start at 10. I'm going to actually put this back at 0. And now I have the number path. So here's where that number path and that number line are, you can connect them, you can see them, and that's kind of how you make that transition from the number path to the number line. Yes, the number line can go negative. So if I drag on this side, you can see that the number lines will go negative as well. Good question. So you just kind of have to play with it and see kind of where you can go with it. Again, I'm going to drag this down, copy it. So now I have all these different multiple representations, right? Just of the same concept, the same equation, and I'm showing it kind of all different ways so students can have something that they can visualize when they see 4 + 6 = 10. Now, when I click here, I'm kind of going up and down, right? I'm going over to the side. This is a scrolling bar where I can manipulate to where the screen will be. So now I'm going to kind of just fit it to where it fits on my screen a little bit nicer. The number line, in our number line application, it can count by, you can change that a little bit easier. So down here is our settings menu. If I click here, this will be our group. So as you can see, if your students need a little bit more of quantity driven things, you can see I can do 4 + 6. I can have my strip diagram right here for you. So if I didn't have all these other ones, they're able to kind of see that area. And this is our settings. So anything that you see in any other manipulative, this is where the settings go right here. I'm just going to very quickly show you. In base 10 blocks, we have quite a few different settings. So you want to make sure that you check those out and what those are for the different applications, because they can adjust what you're doing and what you're working with. Down here, I have my blue bar. This is my undo and redo button. This is my clear all, which I'm not going to press because it would eliminate or take everything off my screen. I can zoom in, I can zoom out. If I'm zoomed in and, again, let's just say I have a bunch of different options on my screen, I can press zoom to fit and it will all kind of nicely, neatly kind of arrange itself onto the screen so that I can see everything pretty clearly. And that's called our zoom to fit button here down in this little navy tray that we have down here. My pen tool. So I'm going to go ahead and add another tool so I can show you our pen tool. Here's our number bond. You can drag this, you can rotate it to however you prefer it. When I click on my pen tool, again, here's where my settings are going to pop up. I can change my color. So if I'm trying to match what's on the screen, I can do 4 and 6, gives me 10. So kind of just to give you that general idea of what these basics are. So when you click here, I'm going to just go very quickly over what I went over. You have the manipulatives, text and tools, learning tools, all in this area. Here's where your settings are. And then you have a navy tray down at the bottom that you can adjust, redo, undo. You can add a pin. Down here in this over here, we have what we call the workspace. So if I click on workspace, every manipulative we have about 60 different workspaces. And so I want you to check those out as well, because this one has different workspaces. So if I come to the number line, here is another number line. This one actually goes to 20. But it's kind of the same, works the same way as my tool one. I can drag it, I can change it, I can move it around the screen. So maybe I can say, what's another way to make 10? And someone could say, well, I think 2 and 8 make 10. And I can show, are they correct? Yes, 2 and 8 do make 10. That's a good job. So again, just to kind of give you an idea of this workspace. The graphing workspace is an excellent tool. So if you are, what's your favorite color? What's your favorite sport? You just drag those, and as you can see, it's going to quickly just add to the screen. I could say, favorite sport. I can copy this. My daughter played softball last night, so that's what I'm going to write here. My other daughter had a swim meet last night, so we're going to put swim. So just to kind of give you an idea of how a number line can be created. Again, when I click on, if you notice when I get close, do you see this blue highlight? That tells me that something can be done with this particular object or this particular thing. So be careful when you are going through the program. If you get close and you realize that it's highlighting blue, that's signaling you that it can do something. So if I click on it, I can also like copy this. So I can have a different one. I can have another one, and I can flip the axis, right? So I can toggle my labels on and off. So right now we don't have the ability to change the intervals on them, but me as a teacher, I can go in and say, I want this one to be counting by fives. I would just bring my text feature down here and put 5, then 10. So they're just an idea for you to be able to change that if you would like to. I could also put these together and have a first quadrant area there. Here, again, I can't see everything on my screen. So if I press zoom to fit, now I am able to. So you're able to kind of just adjust things and make them very easily accessible to your students. We also have our part whole mat. Again, I'm getting close. It highlights blue. That means it can do something. I can make this smaller or bigger. I can turn, if I don't want my labels on, I'm able to drag here. But I can turn my labels back on. So if I have 4 and 6, and then I talk about what those are here, I'm going to move this because I want to show the action of joining them together there. So I can see that's this part whole mat. So again, these workspaces, check them out. Again, when I showed you base 10 blocks, I showed you these different options. Let's just say I don't want my students to be able to see thousands. We're not working with that yet. But again, check out all these different workspaces. So just as a clue to you, check out the settings and check out the workspaces for each manipulative that you're in so that you're able to kind of adjust to what you want it to do and check out all the things that it's really capable of doing. How do you fill in the number path with the color? Okay, so let me go back to my basic workspace. So if I drag out my number path, I have a question, so I'm going to just kind of focus on that. If I want to, you're right, if I click on 1, it's going to make that number disappear. If I want to have a color on it, I would drag a manipulative to it. If I don't want that manipulative, I don't want to use a manipulative, you can't, and you just kind of are trying to highlight the 5s and 10s, we do have that option here. So you're able to see kind of the different options. Something else you could do if these are not something like, let's just say I wanted it to be red, you could do something like this. See how I just use a shape, and I'm going to fill this in red. So if you would rather it to be red, you could do something like that as well, just to give you an idea of how to adjust to what you're looking for. There's kind of always a workaround. So again, just the more you play with it, the better you'll get with those kinds of things. So I'm going to come back here and show you that you can create what we call share codes using this feature. So a share code is something that's going to save what is exactly on my screen and all the workspaces within this share code. So when you create, it's kind of like creating a task or activity that you want to give to your students. We do not save these internally. So I suggest you writing them down somewhere, you getting a Google Doc, sharing it with the other teachers, and they're good for as long as you have a license. So you are able to use it for years and years. You create one and you want your students to see it next year, you're able to do that. When I come up here, I see 3 buttons. This is the tutorial button. So if you are wanting some more information about this particular manipulative, if you click on this, it will take you to our tutorials page. Here's our send feedback button. We are a small company and we want to do what's best for y'all and for the teachers. So if you have anything or ideas, or you see something that you would like, click on that send feedback button. We do read that, and we do go through it and see what we can do to make this site better all the time. And here's the share feature. So here, if I click share, 4 options come up: share code, live, copy image, and download image. When I click share code, it says send to someone a copy through a link or a code. You can use the link, but if you're going through different applications, it can be a little difficult. So we always suggest just using this share code. If I click copy, it's copied to the clipboard. Again, I would write this down somewhere so that I can use it again later if I wanted to. But if I'm in Brainingcamp and I'm on the home page, there's a box here in the corner that says share code and go. You would instruct your students or anyone that you're wanting to share this with to put that share code in. It's an 8-character code that they put in here into the share code box. Once I press go, it's going to take me to the share code that I created, to the actual thing. Now, they're not going to be able to change it. They're not going to be able to, like if they move something, if they answer questions on it and they want to send it back to you, it's not going to change your original copy. But as you can see, when I click on the workspace, it saved every workspace within this one share code. Now, if you want it to, let's say they're answering something, maybe you only have 4+6 and you want them to show you all the ways they can make that and then share it back with you, they can share it by copying creating their own share code and sending it back to you, or they can copy or download the image. Does everyone using the share code have a separate license, or can anyone access with the share code? Well, if you have to have a license to Brainingcamp in order to use the share code, but like if you're sending it to your students, they would be able to use the code. So if you sent me, I sent one just now to everybody, you're able to use that code as long as you're logged in. I hope that answers that question. So here is kind of just the very general basics of how to create a share code, how to use a share code. I wanted to very quickly just kind of give you an idea. I'm going to show you this one. This one's with our hundreds chart, just to kind of get, this one's already created. So again, I'm coming back to Brainingcamp. I'm going back to the home page. I'm entering my share code and I'm pressing go. And again, this is something that I've created. I want my kids to show me 2 ways to solve. This is with the hundreds chart. And the reason I wanted to bring this one up was because I wanted to just, you could go to 120. I'm just going to show you very quickly that when I come here, see how it highlights blue, you can drag this to 120. I can turn these on or off. I can randomize it. And then I could also change the range. So if you're working with 2nd graders, but you still want them to be using something familiar when they're adding, you're able to do so. So again, this is just 2 different ways to solve. I dragged these on already so that you could see, obviously your students would do this on their own. I hope you have a good kind of just basic understanding of share codes and kind of how the program works. I'm going to send it off to Ryan because he's going to show you an incredible part of our system called Live, and it's awesome. And you'll also get to see some of the things that I just talked about because Ryan's a great job with that.
All right,
I'm
well,
going to
thank you,
stop
Karen.
sharing.
Yep, I'm going to take over. But as I do this, there's a couple things that came up that I wanted to just point out.
Perfect.
One of the comments that I saw was, slow down, please slow down. And we would love to, but we do only have 1 hour, and there is so much in Brainingcamp. Obviously, there's 17 different manipulatives, and each one of them has different workspaces and different things that they can do. And again, like I said, we only have an hour, so we need to move pretty quickly. But Kara pointed it out too. If on any one of these, if I go to Cuisinart rods, up here, there's a little arrow, little play button, and it'll take you to a tutorial. Every single manipulative has a 3-minute tutorial video that you can watch. It highlights all the cool things you can do in each and every one of those manipulatives. What makes that one special? You can watch it 5, 6, 7 times. I suggest doing this with your kids, watching it with your kids, because you'll have one kid who just instantly goes to it and is like, hey, I know how to use it. And now you have a Cuisinart rod expert, you have a base 10 block expert. And but those tutorial videos are for you, they're for your students, and anyone can use them, and you'll learn so much about the site. The other thing is, back on the main page here under resources, we have webinars. That's where this one will be after it's recorded and put up on our site. It'll be here in our webinars. You can go through here and watch these webinars over whenever you want. You can pause them and go back and take the time that you really want to go back and see this. But they're there. And then the last thing is, we'll give you our emails and our things and contacts at the end, and you can contact us and we'll take the time to go through it with you. I've had a couple, Zoom calls with customers. How do I do this? How do I do that? We're happy to help you whenever we can. So, and then the other question that I had, or someone said, was, can students using those share codes? Yes, you need to have a license to get into Brainingcamp. But if you have a teacher license, if you have a classroom license, like the one you just redeemed with that trial code that Mark gave you, your students have access for free. You can, like I said, I will send you an email probably this weekend that will tell you how you can add students. It's done up here in the accounts button. You create your students one username and password that they all share. Students have a license under your license, right? We don't charge them for it. We charge the school or the teachers who are going to use it for that. So anybody who has access to Brainingcamp, a license or a student, can use those share codes. And then they can actually share them back with teachers as well. But that's what you wanted me to talk about. So I'll get into what I wanted to talk about. I'm actually going to shut my chat off. So if something comes up, Kara, please feel free to interrupt me. I just want to be able to see my screen a little better. All right, I am going to use, for this activity, I want to show you what's called Brainingcamp Live. And this kind of came up in the last couple of years when we were developing Brainingcamp and making things a little bit better. We saw teachers saying, we're teaching remotely, and we need a way to be able to see students working in real time. And that share button was good because kids could send files to teachers and teachers could send files to kids, but they weren't seeing it in real time. So we created what we call Brainingcamp Live in order to do that. And I'm going to use place value discs. And if I open up the place value disc block or the page, and then I can set my page up like Kara did. I can enter a share code and get into a page. But whenever I want to go live, you're going to come up here to these buttons and you'll see the share button. And then one of the options that you have, the middle one, it says live. This is only teachers. Students will not have this option, but only teachers get this option. When you click on it, it's going to spin up a new thing. It's going to say, we're going to start a live session. When I hit start, it's going to hopefully start a live session. There it goes. It opens up a new page. It opens up a new URL for me. And then the other thing it does is it creates a brand new 8-letter and number code. This is unique to this live session. So what I would need you to do as a participant of this webinar is on Brainingcamp, go back to that main hub page, that the one that has all the manipulatives and the share code. And then in the share code, enter this right here. And if somebody on our team can copy that and put that in the chat so people can see it. What's happening is your computer and my computer are connected. And I can see down here a thumbnail of each and every one of your screens. And mine isn't sharing the whole thing. There we go. So now you can see that I have person 1, person 2, person 3. And as you come in, let me actually do this. I'm going to copy this. I want to come in as a student too. So as you come in, this is what the students are going to see. They enter that code, they join it, says, yeah, you're going to join a live session. Oh boy, okay, I'm 15. I can change this to RD and hit continue. And now up here it says RD. If you already have a number, you can click on the pencil and change it to your initials, or you can change it to your classroom number. But you should be able to signify, I think that's the right word, who you are by changing your initials, right? Okay, so I'm going to go back to my teacher view if I can find it. Here we go. All right, so on the teacher view, I can see every one of my students' pages. Down here, I can see every one of you. There's nothing on it right now, but I'll change that in a second. Here is my entire class. I can see all the numbers, all the students, and I can scroll through them. Let's actually do an activity here. So I'm going to close this out so I can build my activity that I want to do. I'm going to go to my workspace and say place value. I don't want to use my numbers up into the millions. That's too much, right? Maybe I don't have to worry about that with my kids. So I'm going to change my settings to 1,000. And then I'm going to click and add a few thousands here. I'm going to add a bunch of hundreds. And I'm going to add a bunch of tens. Add a few more. I don't know why it's not clicking fast. I hope it doesn't catch up with me and get a ton of them in there. But then add some ones to it as well. Okay, so maybe I wanted to say, what is this number? Now, your screens don't look like this, so I need to make sure you have this activity. So what I'm going to do is hit push, and then I can select who I want to have it, but I'm going to select everybody. And I love that whoever JH is was already starting to play around with it, but I'm going to select everybody. And I'm going to push this activity out to all of you. And what you should see is all your screens are starting to change to what I wanted it to be, because I'm the teacher here and I'm sending you this activity. Now, before you get started, I'm going to lock it. I don't want you doing anything. I want you watching what I'm doing so you can see how to do this activity. What a great feature. I can just say, hey, lock everybody. You can't do anything on your screen right now because I have it locked, right? What I want you to do is, obviously I have more than 10 ones in here. You can group select. I'm just going to take my mouse and click and drag more than 10. And in my tools up here, I can regroup it and turn it into a 10. Well, this needs to come over here to my tens column. And I can do that again into my hundreds column, and hundreds column into my thousands column. And so the question that I want to have for you, I'm going to bring this back because this is what it was supposed to look like. The question that I have for you is, what number did I represent? Right? So I'm going to unlock it, and I'm going to let you work, and I'm going to watch you work in real time. All right, so go ahead. I'm going to let you do some work here, and I can pull up all your screens and watch you work in real time. And I can, if I was in front of you, I can say, hey, student 01, I see you're doing it. Great. 16, way to go. I see that you jumped on it and you're doing this wonderfully, right? I can verbally talk to my class if they're in front of me, but if they're remote, I can go here and put a thumbs up. I can put a little heart, a smiley face. And anytime I click on this, that student is seeing a heart show up on their screen or a thumbs up. I'm trying to get everybody. Luckily, we don't have a tremendously large group here, but you should be seeing some feedback from the teacher on all your screens, right? As I click on each one of them. I could send a message to everybody. Right here, I have a send message button. And I can say, great work. Love what you're doing. Now, this is because I've selected everybody. When I send this, you are all going to see that message appear on your screen. And if a teacher sends the message, the student has to get rid of it. The student has to click on it to have it go away, right? I can also message one student at a time. I can hover over their thumbnail and I can say message, and I would message just this one student. So these tools here are for everybody. And then if I wanted individual communications with my students, I click on their thumbnail, right? Okay, so what I'm going to do is that we've done the work. I'm going to take student 1 here, and I'm going to take their screen, and I'm going to load it onto my screen. And now I've actually taken my students' work and put it up on my screen. Maybe I'm at a Promethean board, and I've now, instead of saying, hey, bring your manipulatives up here and show me what you've done, I can say, let me take your screen, put it up on the screen, on the class screen, and you can talk to me about what you did, right? I can pick up my pens and say, okay, well, look, I see you have 3 in the thousands, 4 in the hundreds, 2 in the tens, and 3 in the ones. And that number looks very familiar and very similar to the number down here that says you have 3,423, right? So I can take that, I can just close this out, and it goes back. Now I can take another student and say, let's see how this student did it, and load theirs up. And we can see, did they get the same number? Yes. If I wanted to, I'm going to do the same thing with this student. We'll change it just a little bit, make it green, make it a little bit thicker. This is, erase that. This is 3,423. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to push this, but I don't want to push it to everybody. I want to push it to just that student, just number 3. So whoever you are, number 3, I'm sorry, I'm going to update your screen. When I push it, you can see, let's find their screen here. You can see that my work that I did has been pushed onto their screen, right? And so that person, wherever they are in the world, has just received the message directly from me on their screen, right? And that was the only one who did it. I can hit close, and I'm back to my screen, my original screen, and I can continue to work. Somebody, whoever student 00 is, has figured out that you have, as a student right here, you have a raise hand button, right? And if you raise your hand, you can raise it in red, yellow, or green. And whenever you click on that button and raise your hand, your thumbnail image gets a box around it. So I know that you have a question. So what I want is raise your hand if you're ready to move on to the next thing. Any color, doesn't matter. If I can see 3 people raise their hand in Zoom or in Brainingcamp, I see they're ready to go on. Look, I can see everybody who is raising their hand. I can see whatever color they've raised it. And I know most of you are ready to move on. Wonderful. Okay.
Hey, Ryan.
Yes.
They asked if you could show how you pushed, I believe, because it says, how did you do that again? I think it was when you were pushing what you gave the feedback and you pushed it to just that student.
Okay, perfect. So I'm going to take student 17. I'm going to take their screen. I'm going to click on their thumbnail, and I'm going to load it onto my screen. So I can load it up and see what they did, right? And I'm going to do something a little different here. I'm going to take my pen. Actually, you know what? I'm going to take, I'll take my pen and just say, or my text. That's what I'll do. And I'll say, great work, right? So I can take this, move that around wherever I want, change the color, add whatever I want to the page. To give that to the student, I can hit push. Now I know this is student 17, right? I can see that right here. It says I'm watching student 17's screen. I hit push, and then instead of selecting everybody, I select just student 17. All right, I'm going to select student 0 as well, and we'll go 0, 1, 2, 3. We'll send all of them. And when I hit push, just those people who I've selected are going to get that updated screen. You can see they all got that updated screen right there. Maybe use this for differentiating. Maybe those 4 or 5 students needed another problem. They were ready to move on. So I can give them a new problem, push it just to those students. Maybe another couple students say, this is too much. I don't need to do thousands. I can come down here and change my number. I can change my number. Maybe I only want to do to 100, right? And I can change that number that I'm using and push them a new activity and select the kids that are a little bit behind and need a easier number. I can do that as well. Oop, don't do that. Okay, the other thing that I can do is I'm working on a smaller screen than I normally do today. All right, so I'm going to clear this and I'm going to give you a number that I want you to build. I want you to build the number 374, but I don't want you to, I'll let you do it however you want. I want you to build the number 374. So what I'm going to do is I've changed my page, and when I hit push, I want to select everybody. And when I hit push here, it's going to update everybody's page. And now what I want you to do is, using your discs, build the number 374. Now you could build it exactly like this with 300, 7 10s, and 4 1s, or you can do it a different way. It doesn't matter. If you wanted to do 37 10s and 4 1s, perfect. That's fine. I just want you to build the number 374 in different ways, right? And I can look here, and again, by looking at the thumbnails, I see every student, and I can look at what they're doing. Every time you add a base 10 or a place value chip, I see that update on my screen for every one of my kids. If I wanted to, again, I could send feedback, I could do all that stuff, but we're running out of time. So I need to run to my next class, or I need to, whatever's after math class. I'm going to hit PDF export, and it takes a screenshot of all your computer screens right now, and it puts it up here, and I have, here's student 00, here's student 01, and I have their images that they did, and I can see exactly the work that they did, and I can come back to it later. I can print this off, send it home with kids. I have a record of what they did when I hit that PDF export button. I can do that as many times as I like. The last thing I'm going to do, and last thing I'm going to show you, is I'm going to load an activity, a pre-made activity, and Mark's going to share tasks with you if I ever stop here. Kara showed you how you can make a code and you can come back to it at any time. Mark's going to show you how we've made codes in we call them brain or math tasks. I'm going to pull one of these up. This is a pre-made code that we've had for a couple of years now. I'm going to go into it, BVG8S9. I hope I copied that down right. And it says here, you will replace your current manipulative. So I'm in place value chips, but when I hit open, I'm now in linking cubes, and I have an activity. I pulled up a kindergarten activity. Maybe I was doing that with my kids, and I want to change this to a completely different activity. Again, I hit push, I select everybody, I hit push, and now all of our screens are going to update into this new activity.
Hey, Ryan, can you show them what the PDF export looks like? They're asking if it's a thumbnail or kind of if it's a larger image of it.
Yeah, it ends up being, I'll pull it up here on this one. It ends up being, this is one page. You get 2 students per page. So I have student 0001 on this page, and then I'll go down, and it looks like I have 29 people in here. So I'll have 30 pages on this PDF with 2 students on each one, and about a half-page image for each kid. And it is the most current image of what they have. So obviously the last one had the activity we were just doing with the place value chips, but this one says I've moved it, and when I hit PDF export, it's what was currently on your screen, right? So yeah, so you can have when you print it up or anything like that, it's a half sheet for each student. The last thing I'll show you is, as a teacher, I'm going to exit. I'm going to say, okay, I'm done. And now I'm going to walk around the class and help you. You can see it says my live session is ended. I can actually close my window down. And the student page, this is my student one, right? I'm still in here as RD. I still have this page open and I can continue to work if I wanted to. Right. So the students can continue to work. Just because the teacher says that that class is over does not mean that the students have to finish. But the time does say that I need to finish. So I'm going to stop. We can talk about live a little bit more afterwards if we have questions, but I want Mark to have a few minutes to be able to share the math tasks that we've created and some pre-made activities.
All right. Thank you, Ryan. So like Ryan said, I am going to be going through some of the tasks that we've already developed, because we know how busy everyone is, even in the summertime. So here I am. I'm on the home page, or the manipulatives page. I do want to mention one thing that was mentioned earlier, about your share codes. Remember, like Kara said, when you make a share code, we don't save it. So you can see my spreadsheet that I have for all the share codes that I've created. These are not specific to my account. You can share them with your colleagues. So I just wanted to reiterate that because that's really, really important. All right, here I am. I'm back at the manipulatives homepage. Up here in this, you see this tab for resources. If I click that, now here you find some of the resources that we've been talking about. You can click here to watch some of our archived webinars. Click over here on the tutorials. That's where we have some tutorial videos that we've mentioned already about, Ryan mentioned about each different manipulatives. But here we have our tasks. We have 291 tasks already completed for you. We also have them in Spanish. The student version is in Spanish. So we have a PDF which shows you the crosswalk between the English version for the students and a Spanish version. So here we are on the task page. You'll see the tasks are searchable by keyword. I could enter a keyword in here. I could choose a grade according to Common Core. These are all built on Common Core state standards, and you can see the Common Core nomenclature down here at the bottom of each of these little images. There's also a little bit of a short description. And then you can also select them by domain. So I'm just gonna, let's see, I'm gonna enter it. Let's see, I'm gonna decimal, grade 4, and oh, here's one, right? I could choose a domain as well if I choose number and operations fractions, but that's not going to change because they're all from number and operations fractions. So like Ryan said, these are, I'm going to click here. This comes up as a PDF. And I'm going to just do a quick walk through the PDF just to show you the notes, the teacher notes that are in here for you. So each one starts with a learning objective. We get a little bit of a description. Here you get to see a screen image of the actual task. We identify a couple of math practices in case you have to in your instruction, identify what math practices kids are going to be engaged in. And then we also have some alternate manipulatives that you can use for, Kara mentioned earlier, for multiple representations. Each task starts with a launch, something that's going to access prior knowledge or something that's going to give them enough information so they can get started without stealing the show from the task. On the second page, here we have some additional information about the task to help you facilitate the learning that's going on. We give you some guiding questions. We talk a little bit about the importance of the elements of this task. And we also have a little bit of, we anticipate some student misconceptions, right? So if you see this, try this. We want to give you some guidance, like, hey, if you see a student who is struggling with this, maybe try this to help get them unstuck. And then we also, we culminate easy for me to say, we end the task with what we call math talks to give you some questions that are really going to help you draw out what students were thinking as they were working. These are intended to be used for after kids are working. This is a good thing, now they're sharing their thinking, they're making the connections to some of the prior knowledge. So we try to give some guidance there as well. And then each task has an extension. The extension might be taking the content to the next step, or it might even be some type of writing assignment or journaling assignment, right? So something that you can do to extend the activity. Some folks may want to say for early finishers, or for another way maybe to differentiate. One more thing, this share code here, whoops. This is how students access this, all right? So I'm going to open the link. We've linked those. So now this takes me right to what the students see, right? And so this is the code. Let me go back here. This is the code that you would share with your student. Oops. There we are. And so here's that code. Here's the student-facing page. And again, like we've been talking about, once they finish their work and they're making these equivalent fractions, and then they're going to make the relationship to decimals, they can, if you want them to, they can share their work back to you through the same ways that we've been talking about so far. They can share their work that way. All right. So those are the math tasks. Again, searchable by domains, keywords, grade levels, and there are 291 of those. I'm not seeing any questions in the chat. Yes, we will have this recorded. So I'm going to go back. Oh, go ahead, Ryan.
Okay, I do want to say one thing. A little change in the math tasks that we've made recently. Don't do that. Share my screen. Mark, do you mind if I share my screen over yours?
No, go ahead.
Okay. He's asked me if I can do that. So pretty recently, we've updated our own website. Now, obviously, we would love for you to be using Brainingcamp and to buy a license and use that, but we also understand that maybe it's not the best chance, or maybe you want to use physical manipulatives, right? So on brainingcamp.com, when you come to resources, now this is before you even sign in, when you come to resources and click on that, you will see access to all 291 of these tasks. So maybe your school doesn't want to or isn't able to purchase Brainingcamp. Come on, why is it not going? There it goes. Maybe they can't order Brainingcamp this year. Maybe it's something you can't afford in your budget. But if you still want to use these tasks, you can come to Brainingcamp, click on resources, and still have access to these things that you can then use with physical manipulatives. Amy, yes, does it say tasks are in Spanish? Right here, for Spanish tasks, you click there, and you'll get a link to the student-facing pages that are in Spanish. But yeah, those tasks are free to everybody with or without a license. Sorry, I just wanted to throw that part in there, Mark.
No, thank you, Ryan. Thank you. I'm going to go back to sharing my screen.
Yeah.
So accessing the student task right here, you click this and it opens up a PDF that gives you the English version, and then the Spanish version. So those are available for you in both English and Spanish. Now, not the teacher notes are in English, but this is that student-facing piece that we've had translated into Spanish. So we are right at time. Like Ryan, and I think both Kara said that we all three of us are former teachers. If you have any questions, comments, there's something you want to do, you're not sure how to do it, here's our contact information. Please feel free to reach out to any one of us. We're more than willing to help. because we know how difficult your jobs are as teachers. So we want to help. We want to make sure that these tools are being used because we know about their efficacy and how useful they are for students.